nights in Afton Canyon isn't really enough. I would like to stay a third night to be able to go up this other canyon that is supposed to be a nice rock hounding place. Talked to a guy yesterday who would come in to do some rock hounding. He says the best time to come is after a rain. So we'll have to save that for next time because John has a Zoom call with one of his doctors. We don't have cell coverage here. So we're going to go into Baker to get that, and we'll make breakfast there and wait until the Zoom call connects. And those can take a while because doctors get backed up. But we'll also get fuel because we want to be topped up when we're driving around in the Mojave Preserve, and we'll get some water. And there should be a couple places to get water in Baker. And John twisted his knee a little bit yesterday. It's his right knee, so he wants me to drive for the next couple of days. So that means probably not as much footage as I usually like to have when I do my editing, but we'll see how it goes. I just turned on the air conditioner because we're in a parking lot in Baker waiting for John's phone call, and it's gotten really hot in here. That AC feels good. We're getting some water in Baker behind the Arco station. It's $5. We're gonna go to just 3/4. We don't like to carry a full tank, but that way we can still have a shower. From Baker, you can go north into Death Valley or south along the paved 68-mile Kell-Baker Road through the 1.6 million-acre Mojave National Preserve. Kell-Baker Road is a pleasant, scenic drive that will take you through a 25,000-acre area of lava flows and cinder cones, then Kelso Depot, Kelso Sand Dunes, and finally terminating at Route 66. It is one of the few paved roads through the preserve. The original Kelso Depot was built in 1905 at the junction where the Southern Pacific Railway and Union Pacific Railway met. Kelso provided a stop for passengers as well as the much-needed water for steam engines and helper engines for the 2% grade from West Kelso to Kessler Summit. In 1924, the railroad built a new depot to compete against the stylish Harvey House train stations. The depot closed in 1985 and now serves as the visitor center for the Mojave National Preserve. It is currently undergoing renovations and is expected to open next year. Troops, tanks, and trucks were shipped through Kelso by rail. 2-cell strap steel jail. Out there. Built in 1924. They had a restaurant, reading room, and dormitory rooms for the employees. The original depot was built in 2005. This one was moved eastward along the tracks in 23. Nice. Why here? Because they had water. Grade was too long and steep for locomotives to pull a train up without assistance. These trains required a helper station, including a roundhouse, a wide track, fuel, and plenty of water for the steam. We tried to find the Chinese cemetery, but we couldn't. And we stopped and talked to a worker, and he said it's way out there by the sand dunes somewhere. He said nobody knows, so we'll have to do some more research. And maybe we'll come back when the visitor center is open, and then we'll find it. Either the worker I spoke with was clueless, or he was trying to discourage us from finding it. But the cemetery is not far down the tracks and can be seen from a satellite image on Google. There is a lot of conflicting information about the cemetery, but my best guess, based on research, points to it being men who worked in the construction of the railroad. In California, Central Pacific Railroad was responsible for construction of the Salt Lake route and employed mostly Chinese immigrants as opposed to Union Pacific, which employed mostly Irish immigrants. They worked in harsh and dangerous conditions and lived in temporary camps that were often overcrowded and lacked sanitation. Now, this used to be paved, and now it's worse. We did an about face and we're now at the Kelso Sand Dunes. Free campground. There's some vault toilets. And a few people here. The sand dunes are right over here. So at the last minute, we decided to just keep heading south. I figured there would be some kind of dispersed camping around Kelso Dunes, and there is. This time of year, we're often blessed with what is called a secondary sunset or sunrise. Whether it materializes depends on the season of the year, the geographic location, the prevailing cloud cover, and on the amount of particulate matter in the atmosphere. The Kelso Dune Complex has some of the highest dunes in the region. The entire dune system was stacked up in 5 major pulses over the past 25,000 years. Most of the sand traveled from the Mojave River sink east of Afton Canyon and piled up at the base of the mountains. The campsite is just maybe a mile past the trailhead for the Kelso Dunes. And now we're at the dunes. We're going to go walk at least up to them. I'm not into walking into sand, but let's go check them out. How's your knee feeling today, John?
It's much better than it was a day ago or so, but you can still tell it doesn't want to be flexed too badly.
John has to check out all the porta potties and vault toilets. I want to go read the sign. One of the oldest and most extensive dune fields in the West. The complex rises more than 600 feet above the desert floor and covers more than 45 square miles. Making our plans on the fly again. John said over there on the wall, it said that the Kelso, what do they call it? No. Hole in the Wall Visitor Center is open on Fridays, Saturday, and Sundays.
From 10 to 4.
10 to 4, and today's Friday, so we're going to go ahead and make the little detour over that way and check it out, because the last time we camped at Hole in the Wall, it was closed. It's kind of cool. You can see the tracks of things like, I don't know, little slithery things. Most of the eastern part of the Kelso Dunes formed when the once water-filled Soda Lake and Silver Lake dried up, exposing the lake bottom sediment. Three miles round trip. Plan at least 2 to 3 hours. Make sure you take lots of water. Home to at least 7 species of insects, and I think I saw all their tracks. We continue our drive down Kelbaker Road to Interstate 40, then east to Black Canyon Road for another 10 miles to the Hole in the Wall Visitor Center. At 4,400 feet in elevation, the adjacent campground offers some relief from the desert heat, but make your reservations, which are required, before you leave cell service. 35 sites accommodate RVs and tents. Maximum RV or trailer length is 30 feet. Water is available and the fee is $25. We can see that. That's a nice little visitor center, and they have maps and all kinds of stuff. And we got their very last sticker of these that they were giving away. Drive like a tortoise. This is the trailhead for the Rings Loop Trail. Metal rings you have to climb at the very end. Boy, did we luck out. I went back to ask some information about the group campground here and spoke to one of the ladies that works here, Anna. Boy, was she knowledgeable. She really knows this area. And she gave us some really great tips, which I will share in a few minutes when we get to our next destination. And I got this really great poster. is so cool. The Mojave Desert is a vast area that may seem devoid of interest, but get off Interstate 40 at Fenner, travel 10 miles along Old Route 66 to the old Goffs schoolhouse, and you will be rewarded with a real gem. Here, the Mojave Desert Heritage and Cultural Association oversees the largest collection of artifacts and documents of the eastern Mojave Desert, and we owe it all to the passion of Dennis and Joanne Caspier, who turned their passion for Mojave history into a repository of over 7,000 volumes of published books, 1,100 oral history recordings, 120,000 photographs, and 6,000 maps. This is the coolest harvest host you've ever stayed at. Take a look at this. There's your van. Look at all this cool stuff. And shower. Has a shower and toilet. Okay.
Shower on the right.
Yeah, shower. Now it's in a tub. Oh, that looks clean.
Sweet.
Wow.
Chandelier.
Yeah, look at that. Look, it's got its original license plate, John. It's an old Packard. And of course, lots of artifacts from mill stamps to a reproduction of the Mojave Phone Booth. Have you ever heard of the Mojave Phone Booth? We'll come back to that. Goffs was established in 1883 as a railroad station. Prior to Route 66, the National Old Trails Road was developed connecting the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean, with alignment following early Indian trails and pre-existing railroad tracks. Between Ludlow and Goffs, it was not uncommon for the autoists to load their cars on the train at Ludlow and ride to Goffs to avoid the deep sand that made travel treacherous. In 1914, a one-room schoolhouse opened serving the children of miners and railroad workers. In 1942, the U.S. Army built Camp Goffs in this location, which became home to more than 10,000 personnel. As many as 100 trains come through the area each day. So if you don't like train noise while you sleep, then this is not the place for you.
Some of them were contracted to come work here. Some were, just coming with their husband and just, kind of volunteered to help and that kind of thing. So there was 14 teachers during that time. Longest tenure was 3 years. Average was about a year. It's right now it's 75 acres. When Dennis bought it, it was like 120, but some of it was on that side of the road. That was Dennis's house back on the other side of the road, but that's been sold off. Now it's just 75 acres on this side. And where you guys are parked, if you walk out that way, you can see the stamp mills.
Yes, yeah, we walked past those, right?
He shot somebody, the town hated him, so they hung him. And then 2 days later, well actually the day after they hung him, they cut him down. And then 2 days later, the newspaper showed up on a picture of him and said, we dug him up, rehung him.
Really?
We have the picture.
Really? Oh, can I see it? Yes. Oh, that's gross. Is this the story about the guy?
Yeah, but
His name was Hooch?
his name was Hooch. But if you read those, they're a little different.
Oh yeah, photo of hanging in drawer under stamp mail model. Wow. The association has a wonderful collection of books about the area. I was able to get the entire 6 volumes of Bill Mann's Guides to the Deserts of Southern California. Their property contains an original section of Route 66 before it was paved. And they have additional restaurants right here. That caboose out there, I'm pretty sure it's like a room where you can rent it and stay in that. We had a great night's sleep. The train goes by fairly frequently, but it didn't bother us, and John's a bit hard of hearing, so he didn't hear it at all. But this is a great spot. Highly recommend if you're a harvest host or a hip camp. And if you want hookups, it's, I think they charge $40 if you want hookups. But super nice. This guy that showed it, that kind of showed us around yesterday, his name is Dan. He's a photographer, had some really beautiful pieces. Just a really interesting area, and there's just so much more that we're not going to get to this week, but we will definitely come back. And if you're on your way from LA to the Grand Canyon, this is right on the way, and it would be a great spot to stop. And even if you're not going to spend the night, to come and see all their old stuff that they've collected here, and learn a little bit about the schoolhouse and the murders. Oh, maybe I'll mention the murders, or actually the hanging. One hanging and one shooting, maybe two shootings. Anyway, interesting history in this area. We're going to go take a look now. So this booklet is loaded with information. Every little spot is numbered with the details of where the equipment came from. They've done a really good job.
Ox breeds near Barnwell, donated 2001 by Linda and Gary Overson. Windmill, 1912 landmark, 20-foot Samson, the largest ever made, is a historic photo of schoolhouse entryway. Is this the largest Samson ever made, or the largest windmill
I think
ever
the
made?
largest Samson ever made. American Boy Stamp Mill.
Normally this would be like downstream from a ball mill. Okay, so the ball mill would dump the ground up slurry into here, and these rakes go like this. Okay, and what it does is it separates the fine from the coarse. Mojave Phone Booth replica.
Oh my gosh.
You've heard of the Mojave Phone Booth?
No. The Mojave Phone Booth was an infamous public phone located in the Mojave Desert near an old mining road. It stood alone in the vast desert, miles away from any signs of civilization. It was put up in the 1960s by Pacific Telephone and served a nearby mine. It gained fame in the 90s when its number was published by a journalist who learned of its existence. People from all over the world would call the number in hopes of reaching someone, and they occasionally did. Unfortunately, its notoriety was its demise, and it was removed in 2000. So the Mojave Desert Heritage and Cultural Center recreated the lonely phone booth on their property. There have been books, articles, and even a documentary produced about the phone booth. And so, of course, I took a detour down that rabbit hole and purchased a copy of the documentary. Now I just have to find a CD player so I can play it. What a great guy, Steve. He's really so knowledgeable. But we're going to go out and check out this loneliest telephone booth, which was moved from Aiken Cinder Mine, and then do a little loop around back to the group area. Oh my gosh. Oh, you can bring your grandkids out here so they can know what it looked like, what old telephone booths look like. The telephone book. Wow. Remember those days? This is great. They even have the telephone book, John. Steve said that one of the guys has hooked this up so you can actually, he's got some device where you can plug in your cell phone and actually use this to dial someone like you're talking on a real phone. That is amazing. Check it out. Oh, it's a flushing toilet, John. And a shower. A little bar area. for all you kids, this is a wind wing. That's how you get wind in inside your car. Oh, it even had rear wind wings?
Yeah.
Wow, that was fancy. John said that the original owner ate dog food so he could buy this. Prince Albert in a can. Let him out. What a great little spot, and the people are so friendly and knowledgeable. Steve was full of amazing information. He lives in Torrance and comes out here on weekends to help out and fix things. He was going to do some welding on that piece of equipment that he showed us and told us about the telephone booth and the boneyard and the group area, which would be an awesome place to have a meetup. Now we got to figure out where we're going from here. We have no idea. How's your knee feel?
It's
Still sore?
it's a lot better, but I think it's already been maxed out for the day.
Yeah, I just did the little loop. It's about, what is it, 3/4 of a mile? 8:09 for regular, but we're just going to get a few gallons. We're heading to Amboy on Route 66, the Mother Road. Amboy was one in a series of railroad towns named alphabetically along the Atlantic and Pacific Railroad, which later became the Santa Fe Railroad. On timetables, it was Amboy, Bolo, Cadiz, Danby, Essex, Fenner, Goffs, Homer, Ibis, Java, and Kleinfelter. The town was first settled in 1858 as a mining town, and in 1883 formally established as a railroad station. It thrived as a boom town after Route 66 opening in 1926, particularly with the popularity of Roy's Motel and Cafe, which opened in 1938. Coming up on Amboy, and I think it used to be called the town with no television. This is the famous Roy's Motel and Cafe. Is it still open?
If it is, we're pulling in.
Okay. He's put his foot down. If it is, we're pulling in. Look at that. Amboy became a ghost town in the 1970s after Interstate 40 bypassed the town. In 2003, the motel and cafe were sold to Albert Okura, whose dream was to restore the town to its former glory. I'll include a link to Albert's fascinating life in the description box. Unfortunately, he died in 2023. That one was bigger. That was like a two room. This one is a single room. Huh. Someone needs to fix this up and rent it out again. I used to have a Carmen Gil like that. I think it was like a 65, 66, 64, 63. I don't know, somewhere in there. John said it was a 62.
I know it didn't have a heater.
Dad didn't have a heater. My brother rebuilt my brother Dave rebuilt the engine on the dining room table at our family house, and he thought he was going to sell it, so he didn't. He didn't put the heater back in.
And he flipped the parking brake was held together
with vice grips.
Vice grips that were all
Yep.
rusted out.
Wow, they have an old-fashioned thing. Oh, cool. How cool is that? Went up on eBay for $1.9 million. This is much newer, John, because this one has headrests. Mine was before headrests. Don't know what year this is. Racing stripes. They didn't race. They were really slow cars. That's funny. Yep. I wish I still had that car. Cute little mail truck. Kid size. Open weekdays 9 to 1. The man who saved Amboy. Yep, third generation Japanese American. Amboy Crater is a protected area and part of the Mojave National Preserve. At 10,000 years old, it is one of the youngest volcanic features in California. I said to John, we're having lunch here in Amboy. I said, isn't it nice we have the AC on and we can actually talk to each other? Pretty cool. Hiking is not recommended. Wow. 1.1 miles. It is popular to hike to the top of the crater for views of the surrounding desert, and visitors can disperse camp nearby, as one of our subscribers was doing. Travel has a powerful way of stirring nostalgia, connecting us to both the past and present in a deeply emotional way. It's been over 50 years since I last visited Amboy Crater. I was on my first geology field trip and never would have guessed that my professor, Bob Winchell, along with his wife Grace, would become lifelong friends and mentors to both John and me. When we travel, we not only experience new places and cultures, but we also visit parts of ourselves that we might have forgotten or left behind. It is through these woven threads that we come to realize that our youth, with all its wildness and imperfection, is not something to leave behind, but something to carry forward. It is a gentle reminder that fulfillment is not a destination, but a journey rooted deeply in the experiences of our youth.
And every time I try to leave, you're keeping me occupied. I'm losing track of time. I'm losing track of time.